Hey everyone, Combo here, back with another Empires and Puzzles video, and today we're going to talk about the Outfitter event, which is coming into the game in a couple weeks. In this portal, you are going to be able to select a hero that you already have, but you don't have their costume, and you're going to be able to pay gems in order to get that costume, which is a huge addition to the game, and something that myself and a lot of other people have been suggesting for years. Definitely happy that this is finally in the game, and in this video I'm going to talk about the top 10 options that you could pick if you have that hero. Real quick though, if you do enjoy this video or find it helpful, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed to my channel so you can see my future videos, and this event will be coming in a couple weeks. It is currently scheduled for December 12th through the 14th. It appears that this event will be coming out probably every couple of months, kind of similar to the Soul Exchange. There has not been definitive information on that. It's possible it could be a monthly event, but I would say more than likely it's going to come every 2 to 3 months, like I said, similar to Soul Exchange. Not every costume will be eligible for this event. It has to have been out for at least 18 months already, and you could only get one costume. So if you have a hero that has multiple costumes, then you're only going to be able to get the oldest one on that hero. So unfortunately, all of the Toon costumes and also the War of the Three Kingdom costumes, none of them are at the 18-month mark yet. The Toons are coming up on a year actually soon. So definitely will be exciting once we get to that point. But in this video, again, I'm going to talk about the top 10 options that you have available to you right now for the December 2024 Outfitter event. First, I am going to go over a couple honorable mentions. The first of those honorable mentions is going to be Tarlak. So Tarlak is an extremely important Titan hero because of the extra tile damage that he does. His base version also has the extra tile damage. The costume is a little bit better. It's also going to make him a little bit beefier so that he lasts longer and doesn't die as quick. The costume version is also a healer, so you're going to get some healing involved with that as well. So you can see that he is average speed. His class is changed to Paladin. His ether power is ailment immunity if you did decide to double limit break him. Although if you are strictly only using him for Titans, I would not recommend wasting those alpha ethers on costume Tarlak. Unless, obviously, if you already have his base version double limit broken. But for his special, he's going to boost health for all allies by 470. Boosted health can exceed max HP. All allies get plus 80% normal attack for 5 turns. The normal attack is increased by plus 20% each turn. This effect can be active with addition to effect that alter attack in general. Normal attacks can have a total maximum of plus 160% increased power while this effect is active. So definitely a very, very important Titan hero if you have him. I know a lot of people actually use him pretty much on every Titan except for green rare Titans where that damage is reflected. So I would say that if you don't have any of the other better options for this Outfitter event, Tarlak could be an option for you. And this next hero that we're going to talk about is a really good, useful hero, although their costume is not really that great, unfortunately. You would definitely want to use their base version, which I'm going to show you in a moment. But Lady of the Lake is one of the most annoying heroes in the game. She is slow speed, so that's another detractor on her. Her class on her costume is Fighter. Ether power is going to be heal increase. And then for her special, she's going to boost health of all allies by 550. Boosted health can exceed max HP. She will summon a magical sword minion for the caster and nearby allies with 14% HP and 15% attack inherited from the caster. Each hit from the magical sword minion gives the following status ailment. The target gets minus 24% mana generation for 3 turns. This effect cannot be cleansed. If we look at their main version, which is definitely what I would recommend because boosted health by 550 for a slow speed hero is not very good. A lot of heroes, if you add a legendary troop on them, have between 3,000 and 4,000 HP, so 550 is really only going to be about 25 to 30% of health. But if we look at her main version, and the reason why I would suggest getting the costume for Lady of the Lake is so that you can beef up the stats and get that costume bonus for the regular version. Of course, she is still slow speed. Her class is Sorcerer. Ether power is special armor. So that's going to give her plus 20% defense for the first 6 turns in a battle. For her special, she's going to recover 42% health for all allies, summons a magical sword minion for the caster and nearby allies with 14% HP and 15% attack inherited from the caster, and that minion is going to remove 10% mana from the target when it hits them. That, in my opinion, is a much more useful attribute than the minus 24% mana generation that the costume gives. Between that and the 42% health that she's going to give for all allies, she's going to be healing your team probably for anywhere between 1200 and 1600 health because of the higher health percentage that you're going to get for all allies. All right, so those are the 2 honorable mentions that I have in this top 10 video. Now getting into our actual top 10, starting out at number 10, I've got Costume Bera. She is fast mana speed, her class is Cleric, her ether power is Bulwark. So she's going to start off with plus 15% defense and will get an additional 1% every time she is hit. I think that will last for 6 turns. Her special, she's going to summon a Moth minion for each ally. A Moth minion inherits 30% attack and 30% health from the caster. Each hit from the Moth minion gives the target following status ailments. The target receives 126 poison damage over 3 turns, and that target cannot receive new minions for 3 turns. So obviously this is not going to work for the War of the Three Kingdom costume heroes that cannot have minions blocked by them, but it will affect the other heroes who are not War of Three Kingdom heroes. It also doesn't really work against toons because of that passive where they resist status ailments. I think it's 75% of the time. So definitely keep that in mind. But Bera is a very useful hero against other minion summoners that are not War of the Three Kingdom heroes. And then if the other enemies are not toons, then Bera is going to be very useful. Coming in at number 9, we've got Costume Gefjon. She is fast mana speed. Her class is Fighter. Her ether power is special armor. So again, she's going to get plus 20% defense against special skills for the first 6 turns. For her special, she is going to first destroy all minions from the target and nearby enemies, and then she's going to deal 335% damage to the target and nearby enemies after those minions are destroyed. Another very useful special, getting rid of those minions. Obviously, again, that's not going to work against Costume Daichan or Costume Zhuzhlang or any of those other War of Three Kingdoms heroes that have that resist minion removal. But she is going to work for any other enemy that does not have any type of minion removal resistance. Coming in at number 8, we've got Costume Guardian Panther. So Guardian Panther is fast mana speed, paladin class, ether power, special armor. For their special, they're going to deal 285% damage to all enemies. All enemies get minus 34% defense against dark for 3 turns, and all enemies are immune to new buffs for 3 turns. A lot of people got Guardian Panther the last Fated Summon when they were available for free. So if you got Guardian Panther in the last Fated Summon, then this could be a really good option for you to beef up your Guardian Panther stats that they've already got, because their base version is also really good depending on the type of enemy that you're going against. If we were to look at the base version, still fast mana speed, of course, class is Fighter, ether power is attack up. For their special, they're going to deal 210% damage to the target and nearby enemies. The target and nearby enemies get minus 54% defense against dark for 4 turns, and they're going to dispel buffs from the target and nearby enemies. So the base version is only attacking 3 versus attacking all on the costume, and the base version only attacks for 210% versus 285% on the costume. But the base version is going to give minus 54% defense against dark for 4 turns, and is going to dispel the buffs from the target and nearby enemies. The costume version that we just looked at is going to have all enemies be immune to new buffs for 3 turns. So I think this really kind of depends on the type of enemies that you're going against as far as which one's better. Obviously for Titans, you'd want to use the minus 54% defense against dark for 4 turns from the base version. You're going to get a lot more damage from that than you would from the extra 75% for the special. But definitely somebody worth getting the costume for from the Outfitter event. Coming in at number 7, we've got Costume Alfrike. Alfrike has been terrorizing opponents in rush tournaments forever, and if you have her costume, it's gonna beef up her stats and make her that much more viable in the game. For her special, she is very slow mana speed. Her costume is the paladin class. Ether power is ailment immunity, which is one of the most useful ether powers in the game, especially when you're talking about defensive heroes. For her special, she's going to deal 240% damage to hit targets. She's going to cast 5 Dark Cubes to random enemies. The Dark Cube reduces max health from the target by 184. This effect is stronger against targets with boosted health. Max health cannot get lower than 30% of the original max health. Any boosted health is reduced by an additional 184. Enemies hit automatically cast Mindless Attack on a random ally when mana is full during 3 turns. This is super annoying in rush tournaments. She's a little outdated if you look at her individual power of 1282, but honestly, she's got almost 1500 shield if you have the masterclass emblems on her, and 2612 health, so she's still a pretty viable character in the game, honestly. Coming in at number 6, we've got Costume Krampus. He is average mana speed, barbarian class, and his ether power is dodge. For his special, he's going to summon an elf minion for each ally with 10% HP and 10% attack inherited from the caster. The caster gets taunt that prevents enemies from using special skills on the caster's allies for 3 turns. The caster gets a plus 30% defense for 3 turns, and all allies get a plus 45% attack and a further 20% increase every time they are hit during 3 turns. Costume Krampus has almost 1400 power when you add the masterclass emblems on him. The Winter family just got a pretty big costume buff because they are going to be coming out in the game in the next couple days. And Krampus is currently available in the Fated Summon right now, so you can get him for free after you've done at least 100 pulls. Definitely one of the top 2, in my opinion, for the current Fated Summon. His costume is going to obviously beef up his stats, and I would definitely recommend choosing him, but I would do so more so that you can beef up his main version. We're going to look at that right now. Still average mana speed, sorcerer class, and his ether power is taunt. So if you have him double limit broken up to 90, he's going to start off with taunt. I think it's for 3 turns. For his special, he's going to summon an elf minion for each ally with 10% HP and 10% attack inherited from the caster. The caster gets taunt that prevents enemies from using special skills on the caster's allies for 3 turns. So those first 2 parts are the same as his costume, but different on this version is the caster gets plus 44% defense and a further 10% increase every time they are hit during 3 turns. This effect cannot be dispelled. And then all allies are going to get plus 50% attack for 3 turns. So personally, I like the higher defense, and he's going to get the increased defense every time he's hit over 3 turns. And he's going to start off with taunt if you have him double limit broken. So I definitely like this version better than the costume version because of the higher defense. For taunt heroes, you want higher defense because they're going to be the only ones getting attacked. Costume Krampus, definitely a great option for this outfitter event. Coming in at number 5, I've got Perseus. He is fast, mana speed, class is paladin, ether power is attack up. For his special, he's going to deal 355% damage to the target and nearby enemies. The target and nearby enemies get minus 100% decrease for any healing received for 4 turns. This effect cannot be cleansed. The target and nearby enemies get minus 68% defense against ice for 4 turns. And the elemental link is going to give plus 10% mana generation for all ice allies for 4 turns. This effect cannot be dispelled. Definitely a very, very useful costume, and he's got that minus 68% defense against ice for 4 turns, the no healing for 4 turns for 3 enemies, and he's a pretty high damage dealer for 355% damage to 3 targets. Perseus does a lot, and I think that he is a great option for this outfitter event. Coming in at number 4, I've got Costume Hel. She is average mana speed, class is cleric, ether power is special boost. So her special is going to be plus 20% extra damage for the first 6 turns. For her actual special, she's going to deal 320% damage to all enemies. The caster steals generated mana of all enemies over 4 turns, starting low and increasing every turn until the last turn all generated mana is stolen. This effect cannot be cleansed, but it gets removed if the caster dies. She deals extra damage to Holy, and her elemental link is going to give all dark allies plus 15% attack and plus 15% defense for 6 turns. This effect cannot be dispelled. I have a Costume Hel double limit broken, and she is a lot of fun to use because of that stolen mana that she has. It makes it so that she gains mana without even having to match tiles, which is definitely pretty cool. She's an attack all hero, deals extra damage to Holy, definitely a very, very useful hero. Coming in at number 3, I've got Costume Athena. She is average mana speed, class is Barbarian, ether power is also special boost. For her special, she's going to deal 320% damage to a single enemy and minor damage to nearby enemies. The target and nearby enemies get minus 41% defense and a further minus 4% decrease every time they are hit for 3 turns. All fire enemies get minus 34% defense against ice for 3 turns, and her elemental link is going to give all ice allies plus 15% attack and plus 15% defense for 6 turns. This effect cannot be dispelled. Another fun thing about Athena is she is one of the only heroes that will trigger Prophet, Starwalker, Pepper Flame, their effect when they give defense down to an enemy. If you use Athena after them, it's going to trigger that extra damage because it gives a different type of defense down with the escalating defense down for the minus 4% decrease every time they're hit over the next 3 turns. So if you have a Prophet or Starwalker, especially because they're the same color as Athena, they work really well together. Personally, I like to use Perseus, Prophet, and Athena together. If you hit enemies with those 3 consecutively, you're dealing a lot of damage to 3 enemies. She's also really useful against Titans because of that escalating defense that happens every time they're hit. Coming in at number 2, I've got Lord Loki's costume. He's one of the most fun heroes I have on my roster. He's average mana speed, class is sorcerer, ether power is special boost. For his special, he's going to copy all dispellable buffs from the target. He is then going to copy the target's special skill and use it in addition to the caster's own special skill. If the target does not have a special skill or it can't be copied, the following special skill will be cast, deals 265% damage to the target. So obviously you do not want to try to copy a skill that cannot be copied, but he is a lot of fun to use against Bernadette for any of the heroes that have any of those dancing effects. He's very useful for those as well. But Bernadette's special, having been copied at average speed, is probably one of the most fun things that you can use Lord Loki for. And a lot of people like his regular version, but it's definitely very squishy from a defensive perspective. So if you can get his costume and beef up his stats, then that will make him a lot more viable. Personally, I have him single limit broken. Eventually, I may double limit break him, but for now, I've only got him single limit broken. That combined with a matching legendary troop definitely makes him very viable and makes him last much longer. But Lord Loki, again, one of the most fun heroes in the game in my opinion, and definitely somebody you should consider taking. And coming in at the number 1 spot, I've got Costume Guardian Gazelle. So she is currently available in the Fated Summon for her regular base version, so a lot of people have been picking her. So if you already have her maxed, then getting her costume is definitely something that you should consider. She has average mana speed, class is fighter, ether power is heal increase, so she's going to get extra healing for the first 6 turns. For her special, she's going to remove all status effects from all allies except the caster, removes even status effects that are otherwise undispellable or uncleansable, recovers 48% health for all allies, and for 4 turns, all allies except the caster start dancing to the Dance of Spirits. They get plus 110% attack, reduce received damage by minus 30%, gives immunity to new status effects. If the caster dies, the dancer receives 100 damage and their mana is reduced by 100%. This effect cannot be dispelled, but it gets removed if the caster dies. Guardian Gazelle's costume has so many uses. Obviously, it's going to be very useful for Titans because of that plus 110% attack that 4 out of your 5 allies are going to get. But she's also very useful against Bernadette because of the dancing effect. It cannot be dispelled, so those painting ailments do not happen on the rest of your allies. It will happen on Guardian Gazelle, unfortunately, because they don't get that dancing effect, but your other 4 allies are not going to get that dancing effect. Definitely a very, very useful hero. Plus, she's a strong healer. She removes all status ailments, even undispellable ones. She's definitely a very, very good option, and that is why I have her at number 1. So obviously, who you choose in this costume outfitter event is going to be dependent on your roster, who you have, what your options are, and who is going to benefit you the most. Let me know who you guys are going to be taking in this first outfitter event, but definitely excited for this to be coming into the game. Again, it is scheduled currently for December 12th through the 14th. It could get pushed back. This is the first time it's coming into the game, so hopefully there's no hiccups for the programming of this portal. But that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you did enjoy it or found it helpful. And if you did, hit that like button, make sure you're subbed to my channel, and I'll catch you guys next time.